Let's dive into a story that's not just about a great tennis player, but about one of the most fascinating, relentless, and rapidly rising athletes in the world today. This isn't a generic list. These are the top 10 facts about Jannik Sinner, the man who's turned the tennis world upside down with a combination of precision, power, mental toughness, and a hunger that feels endless. You're about to discover the background, the breakthroughs, the battles, and the bold ambitions that make Jannik Sinner one of the most compelling figures in sports right now. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll see why millions of fans around the world aren't just watching him, they're rooting for him with passion. So let's begin. Fact number one, Jannik Sinner wasn't always a tennis player. He started in skiing before tennis rackets and Grand Slam battles. Jannik Sinner was carving turns down snow-covered slopes. Yes, skiing. Born on August 16, 2001, in San Candido, Inichen, Italy, Sinner comes from a region in the Italian Alps where winter sports are a way of life. As a kid, he was a competitive alpine skier, training hard and dreaming big on the snow. But at age 13, everything changed. During a skiing tournament, he suffered a knee injury that altered the course of his athletic journey. While many athletes might have slowed down or changed sports completely, Sinner used that setback to reevaluate his passion, and he pivoted to tennis full-time. And that's when things started to get interesting. That shift wasn't easy. He wasn't handed a scholarship from a major academy. He wasn't stepped into fame overnight. Instead, he poured himself into the game with a work ethic that even veteran pros admire. The transformation from tearing down ski runs to crushing forehands was swift and set the tone for a career built on adaptability, deep focus, and unshakable determination. Fact number two, he became the youngest Italian ever in the top 10. Italy has a long tennis history. But before Jannik Sinner, no Italian man had ever cracked the ATP top 10 at such a young age. At just 19 years old, Sinner broke into the world's top 10 rankings, the youngest Italian man to ever do it. That means he passed legends, past champions, and longtime veterans on his way up. He did so by combining an unusually mature mindset with a level of play that seemed beyond his years, crushing serves, blistering ground strokes, and an uncanny ability to remain calm under pressure. That's not a small achievement. That's a seismic shift in the expectations fans and analysts have of Italian tennis. For a country with a rich sporting heritage, Sinner didn't just break records. He redefined what's possible for players coming up the ranks. Fact number three, his rise was explosive, but it wasn't accidental. Some players get lucky draws. Some catch a streak. But Sinner's rise was no accident. He turned pro in 2018, and by 2020, at 19, he had already made a deep run at the Australian Open, reaching the quarterfinals and defeating big names along the way. That performance wasn't a fluke. It was a statement. Between 2020 and 23, Sinner steadily climbed the rankings, but it was in 2024 and 2025 that he truly exploded onto the biggest stages. Consistently reaching finals, upsetting the sport's elite, and emerging as a real contender at every Grand Slam he entered. His progress has been methodical and relentless. And the best part? It's still accelerating. You don't see many players, especially at his age, compete at this elite level with a consistency that suggests he could be dominant for a decade or more. Fact number four, he's a Grand Slam finalist and a genuine title threat. Here's where most players get labeled, contender or pretender. Jannik Sinner hasn't just contended. He's been in the championship match at tennis' biggest stages. By 2025, he's reached multiple Grand Slam finals, including epic battles against top rivals. These aren't run-of-the-mill performances. These are high-intensity, deep-pressure matches where experience normally trumps youth. But when Sinner steps into the later rounds of a major, he doesn't show fear. He shows fire. He's not just participating. He's challenging for titles. And the intensity with which he competes is something that even the most seasoned veterans respect, whether they're on the court with him or watching from the stands. That tells you all you need to know about how seriously he's taken in the tennis world. Fact number five. His rivalries define a generation. Great players aren't just measured in titles, they're measured in rivalries. And Sinner has developed some of the fiercest, most compelling rivalries in modern men's tennis. From Carlos Alcaraz to Novak Djokovic to fellow young stars, Sinner's matchups are emotional, high stakes, and often brutally physical. These aren't predictable wins or easy scorelines. They're battles that test stamina, strategy, and mental strength. What makes these rivalries special isn't just the athleticism. It's how they elevate the sport. Fans don't just watch. They feel these matches. They replay them. They debate them. They remember them. That's what happens when two athletes push each other beyond their limits and force the game itself to evolve. Sinner's rivalries aren't just storylines, they're defining chapters in the modern era of tennis. Fact number six. He has one of the most complete games on tour. Tennis isn't just about power. It's about variety. It's about anticipation. It's about control. And Sinner brings all of those to the court. He hits with heavy pace, but he also uses angles and precision in ways that disarm opponents. His serve, once considered good, developed into a real weapon, capable of producing aces and setting up easy points. He's fast, sure, but it's his court intelligence that separates him. You'll see him move a rival wide, then go down the line. You'll see him mix power with drop shots. You'll see him read the game like a grandmaster reading a chessboard, always thinking, always calculating. Some players rely on instinct. Jannik Sinner relies on a blend of instinct and intellect, and that makes his game unpredictable and deeply effective. Fact number 7, he's known for mental strength, especially when it matters most. If you watch Sinner long enough, you start to notice something deeper than footwork or forehands. You notice his mental toughness. He doesn't panic after losing points. He doesn't rush big moments. He doesn't crumble when the crowd is loud or the scoreboard scary. Instead, he breathes, refocuses, and goes back to what he does best. In tennis, mental strength isn't optional, it's everything. You can have power, speed, and technique. But if you lose your mind under pressure, you lose the match. Sinner does not just stay mentally present, he thrives in critical moments. That's why so many of his biggest wins came in long matches, because he's not the first to tire mentally when the going gets tough. And that's exactly why pros respect him, and why fans find him thrilling to watch. Fact number 8, he's changed how coaches and analysts view young champions for decades. There was this idea in tennis. Young players need several years to mature before they can compete for titles. Sinner smashed that idea. Not only did he break into the top 10 as a teenager, he began beating top players consistently years earlier than most expected. That forced coaches, analysts, and even legends to rethink what maturity looks like in tennis. Nowadays, people don't ask whether a young player will be good. They ask, how soon can they beat the best? That shift in thinking didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened because of players like Sinner who accelerated the timeline of greatness. Fact number 9. He's not just Italian. He's a global fan favorite. Italy celebrated him, of course, but the world adored him. Tennis fans from Europe to Asia, from the Americas to Australia, have embraced Sinner not just for his tennis, but for who he is. He doesn't play for headlines. He doesn't play for hype. He plays to win. And that sincerity, that laser focus resonates with people. Whether it's the way he interacts with fans, the respect he shows opponents, or his earnest attitude after tough matches, viewers see someone who simply loves the challenge. And that makes fans invest emotionally. You don't just watch his match, you feel it. Fact number 10. His future isn't just big. It's monumental. Here's the crazy part. Most players would be thrilled with what Sinner has done so far. Grand Slam finals, top 10 rankings, epic rivalries, all before age 24. But he's not done. Not by a long shot. Many in the sport believe the next evolution of his career could include Grand Slam titles, extended stints at world number 1, historic rivalries that define a generation, and the kind of legacy players spend decades chasing. What's most exciting is the sense that he hasn't even peaked yet. Think about that. We're witnessing a career that's already decorated, yet still has room to grow deeper, evolve stronger, and shape the sport in ways fans haven't even imagined. That's rare. That's special. That's what keeps people glued to the screen every time his name shows up in a draw. Now ask yourself this. When you think of all the great tennis champions, the ones whose names echo through history, what matters most? Is it the number of titles? The rivalries? The style? The impact? In reality, it's all of them. And Jannik Sinner is ticking every box. Greatness in the making, rivalries that make history, mental strength that defines champions' growth, that still feels unstoppable. This isn't a young player playing well. This is a complete athlete shaping an era. And if you're watching tennis right now, consider yourself lucky, because you're seeing something special before it's fully written. One last thing, very stopping. If you had to choose one word to describe Jannik Sinner right now, what would it be? Is it unstoppable? Electric? Future legend? Or maybe something else? Drop it in the comments. I want to see what the world thinks. Because the truth is, great athletes create opinions. Legends build debates. Jannik Sinner is already doing both. And guess what? We're only just getting started.